And welcome back to another episode of Reviews with Rumman. As you all know, a couple years ago I started this little thing. Well, not really started a little thing, it was just one video that was really poorly edited on Windows Movie Maker, and I called it Reviews with Rumman Episode 1. And we reviewed Monster House. If you want to check that link out, just go back behind my channel. I really don't have that many videos. But after so many years, I've decided that I've had the proper tools, and I have time finally. Might as well just start this up again, This is simply just a summer venture, and hopefully it will blossom into things. I don't know how to finish that sentence, so here's the title. So today we will be looking at The Happening, a movie written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan. Totally nailed it. But yeah, this film is supposed to be a horror film, but if you do watch it slowly, you'll realize it should be deemed as a comedy film. If I had a couple of sentences to describe this film to you right now, I would probably say it's an environmental film gone bad. Like, really bad. Extremely bad. Honestly, it's, it basically says, hey, stop hurting the plants or else they will release a toxic hormone that will make you kill yourselves. That escalated quickly. Well, before I talk about all the bad things this movie has to offer, why don't I discuss the positives? Because there are literally only two things I like about this movie. Two. In a hour and 30-minute movie, there are only two good things that come out of it. That's not a good sign. The first thing is the music. Now, the music in this movie, I'm not gonna lie, is pretty amazing. It's creepy and downright just gives you the chills every time you hear it. Every time it comes on the screen, you always feel like something bad is gonna happen, although really nothing is gonna happen. The second thing is the opening scene. Now, before you watch this scene, before I give it all this praise, what you should do is you should mute it, because the dialogue is absolutely terrible, which is actually one of our main points, but that's later on. Now, to the opening scene. I'm going to describe it to you. Now imagine a regular day in New York City. Everyone's busy, everyone's moving as usual, cars are honking, traffic everywhere, everyone's in a rush. All of a sudden, a person stops. Out of nowhere. It's completely the weirdest thing ever. Hell, not even a person. Everybody stops. Everybody stops. All of a sudden, they walk back. And they're totally blank. They have no idea what they're doing. One by one, they all start killing themselves in the most gruesome possible ways ever. And this just happens, like, in just one area. And everyone dies in all this, like, weird fashion. One's maybe jumping off a cliff, one's maybe stabbing herself with a goddamn pen, one's maybe throwing himself into a lion's den. I don't know. But you gotta admit, that whole thing is pretty creepy. Now, I don't know if I explained it well enough, but I definitely do recommend you watching the opening scene with mute on and just watching all that transpires, because it's honestly one of the creepiest things ever. And, that's what I give props for the movie. The opening scene really does get you hooked in, You're like, whoa, what the hell just happened? And then you unmute the movie, and the movie begins, and you honestly have no choice, because you paid for the ticket, and you really don't want to waste it, so. Before we go into the movie, of course, I would like to direct your attention to the next slide of scrolling credits, because the following characters do have names in the film, but I did not care to remember them, so I will be giving them my own nicknames. So, here you go. So, we begin the movie with that awesome scene I was telling you guys about, but unfortunately, we have to unmute and actually listen to some of the dialogue. And I swear to God, it's like the worst delivery, for me, honestly, that I've ever heard. It seems like as if they were paying these extras with like pennies, so the guy wasn't even into it. He was just kind of like, oh no, stop. He's dead. I mean, seriously, if the extras aren't going to put in the effort, Lord knows what the main cast has to offer us. Speaking of the main cast, we cut to our main character. Mark? Well, actually, no, it's Elliot. You know why I remember his name? Because I like Mark Wahlberg. He's a great actor, and I love him in all his movies. But he's just terrible in this one. He has one look, and his voice is very monotone. It's like he's competing against Kristen Stewart to see who's more bored, and as of right now, it's a tie. So we find out that Elliot is a high school teacher, and honestly, I think this information is only important to deliver this line, which just happens to foreshadow the movie.
What could be a reason the beast have vanished? An act of nature, and we'll never fully understand it. Nice answer, Jake. He's right.
That's a very interesting observation, Jake. I look forward to you to contributing later in this film. What? Oh, he doesn't show up? Does he die? No? So that one kid who delivers the most probably important line in the film just never shows up. So this whole scene was worthless. Well, I was just talking to myself over here, and we both agreed that that scene was just stupid. So, because of the attacks in New York City, all the students are dismissed, and this is where we meet Elliot's friend slash coworker, Sid the Sloth, played by John Leguizamo. Now, John Leguizamo, I gotta give credit where it's due. He is, okay in this film. He does give an effort. He does have some kind of emotion to his lines. And, I like his character arc. He's basically a math teacher who's with his daughter. His wife is somewhere at a business meeting, and now this incident is occurring, and he's kind of freaking out because his wife is probably like in another state, and he has to get his daughter out of there. So, he has a very interesting backstory. But then later in the film, he makes some questionable choices. But we'll come back to that. This is right now just introducing our next character. So this is Sid the Sloth. We have Elliot and Sid the Sloth. Who's our next character? Well, Elliot has to have a love interest, played by Zooey Deschanel. I call her Fish Eyes because I swear to God, throughout the whole movie, it's just all this. So Fish Eyes is married to Elliot, but it's pretty obvious that there are cracks in the relationship, and I swear to God, she's even more monotone than Mark Wahlberg. It's pretty funny to watch. She's kind of like a walking doll, not much emotion, just like, that's about it. Funnily enough, the movie tries to make up for it by giving her character the description that, she's been distant and very, odd lately. But, we all know it's because of the script and that she's actually in the film The Happening. So, nice try, movie, but, no. Basically, it turns out that New York City has to evacuate. So, Elliot and Fish Eyes decide, you know what? We should go too. They decide to go to Pennsylvania in Harrisburg. Meanwhile, Sid the Sloth and his daughter join Fish Eyes and Elliot. The reason his wife couldn't make it is because she's in a meeting, but she plans to meet them in Harrisburg. So, happy endings, right? Or is it? Turns out, en route, that Philadelphia was just hit by this toxic airborne. And the conductors cannot talk to anyone in Harrisburg, which probably means Pennsylvania's hit too. So what do? They decide to just stop the train. Literally, hundreds of people get off, in the woods full of trees, and there just happens to be a diner right over there. So everyone just rushes right in, and because what are you gonna do? The train's not going anywhere. And then they turn on the TV news, and turns out that this may not be terror attacks. This may be something a bit more serious, and they just happen to be in the middle of all the attacks. So after hearing the news that they're literally in the middle of all these attacks, this one dude is like, "You guys, listen. We're in the middle of the attack, so we should go 90 miles out west, outside the range of the attack." Which makes perfect sense, stranger. Thank you for saying that. But then when they all go out, they literally all just scramble. 5 cars go one way and 5 cars go other way. Now, I don't know about you guys, but one of them is going the wrong way. We just don't know which one yet. And honestly, I'd rather find out that story. So Sid the Sloth finds out that his wife never made it onto the bus in Harrisburg. So what does that mean? A, she's dead. B, Well, actually, no. A does make sense. If I was Sid the Sloth, I would probably just stay with Elliot and Fish Eyes and look after my daughter. Or I would leave my daughter with Elliot and Fish Eyes, who are clearly having marriage problems, and I will go with the family back to where the area was affected to go look for my wife. A1 fantastic idea, bro. So basically, what happens is this family and Sid the Sloth, they're in a Jeep, but this Jeep is, it's all metal, but for a roof, it has like a cloth, like a very flimsy cloth. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but, they're taking this. And on the way, Sid the Sloth notices a hole. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if you're going somewhere where there's a toxin that makes you kill people, you would probably double check the car to see if there's no rips. Actually, no. Why would you take a car that has a cloth? Just take a regular, normal metal car. Like, are you shitting me right now? Like, this is really. So they end up going to the neighborhood, Princeton, wherever, and there's actually a really cool establishing shot of a bunch of people hanging from trees. And honestly, it's pretty creepy. I actually do enjoy that. But then the extras open their mouth and the whole scene is ruined. This girl goes berserk. She's like, like literally, there's like no effort into it at all. So Sid the Sloth notices the opening and he's just like talking to the girl and he's like, hey, you want to do a math problem? I'm sorry. Did you just say a math problem? So let me get this straight. We're about to be killed by like basically air. And the last thing you want me to do before I die is to do a math problem. That is the worst thing ever. That is like the worst way to go out. You will burn in hell for that one, Sid the Sloth. You will burn in hell. Instead of saying that, she's like, yeah, okay, sure. I just saw a bunch of dead bodies. Math problem won't be that bad. And the driver ends up crashing into the tree because the math problem was just so damn hard. And on the impact, Sid the Sloth doesn't die. But what he does is he gets out of the car all bloody. This is kind of creepy. He takes a knife, well, not a knife, like a shard of glass, and he sticks it into his neck. And that's how he exits the film. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I actually think Sid the Sloth was supposed to make it towards the end of the film, but then he started reading and he was like, wait a minute, what's causing this? And he was just like, no, I'm out. You kill me now or I walk out. So Shyamalan was like, fine. Meanwhile, while that is happening, Fish Eyes, Elliot, and the daughter, I'll call her the daughter, whatever, they end up getting a ride from a couple. And the couple's like, hey, you know what, we'll take you out. We just need to stop by our house to grab a few things. And Fish Eyes and Elliot are actually cool with it, as if there isn't a airborne toxin in the air, but whatever. Honestly, it's because of this next scene why the dialogue is so criticized in this film. But before I go into that, I would like to summarize this next scene in 3 sentences. You know, hot dogs get a bad rep. I don't know why. By the way, it's the plants. It's the plants that are doing this. The plants are releasing a toxin that is making everyone kill themselves. You guys like hot dogs, right? I mean, who doesn't, right? Mustard, ketchup, hot dogs. Now I know what you're saying. Rumman, that's ridiculous. No movie could be that lame. Well, why don't I let you listen for yourself, and then we'll discuss.
Take a look around. We'll be ready in a jiffy. We're packing hot dogs for the road. You know, hot dogs get a bad rap. They got a cool shape. They got protein. You like hot dogs, right? By the way, I think I know what's causing this. You do? It's the plants. They can release chemicals. You like hot dogs, don't you? Okay, babies. We are going to be going, but we will be back soon. Okay? Oh, plants react to human stimulus. They proved it in tests. Get the mustard?
I do apologize for the quality, but yeah, that those number of lines was actually written on a movie script, and someone said, "Yeah, that's perfect." Now here's the thing with M. Night Shyamalan. I don't know if you know, but he has all these twists, and this right here is supposed to be one of his twists, but in a bizarre twist, it's kind of a fake out, because he wants you to think it's the plants, but then he puts the blame on something else, but then turns out it's the plants. Which is why this movie's dialogue is very weird. Because, first of all, who would bring something up like that? Who would talk about one thing and then say something that's really important and then go back to that other thing? It's like the weirdest transition ever. And even like if you watch the scene, the whole like dynamic, the whole like execution of it was pretty freaking weird. You know, I mean, you can't just go from hot dogs to plants are the ones killing us to hot dogs are pretty great. I hope you guys like hot dogs. Come on. So after that, like, completely bizarre scene, we find out that a lot of areas have been hit, and a bunch of survivors just kind of come together, and they're just like, shit. What do we do? And they're like in an open field, so they decide to kind of split up. Is like one group has 15, another group has 15, and in another pretty cool scene, the other group that has 15, they get affected, and they shoot each other one by one with a gun, which seems to have unlimited bullets unless if they actually took the time to, reload, which doesn't make sense because in the beginning they said that this thing causes confusion. So if you're confused, how would you even know how to like reload a gun? I don't know. I think I'm thinking way too much, but it's really interesting. It's in the background, and all of a sudden Elliot and his group are just like, shit, what do we do? And honestly, it's this scene afterward like becomes really ridiculous because if it is really the plants, they should all be dead because this is all happening in a field of grass and trees. Like, you should be dead. But then, like, they try to throw us off with lines like this.
What are you saying? That guy was crazy. We have to save them.
They're already dead. What if they're targeting us as threats? I mean, this part of the field may not have been set off. Something in this field could be releasing the chemical into the air when there's too many of us together. Let's just stay ahead of the wind.
Stay ahead of the wind, he says, as the wind is clearly blowing in the background and they're all standing in it. And the scene makes me laugh because right after he says that Oscar-nominated winning line, they cut to the field, and like wind, like, rippling effect, and it's like the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, dude, it's wind. I mean, unless if there's like a house twirling in the wind towards you, then I'd be pretty scared. But it's a goddamn wind. Okay? And first of all, stay ahead of the wind. Who am I, the Flash? I can't outrun wind, okay? And another thing, when he says that line, they proceed to stand there for about 5 seconds, trying to process what the hell he just said. Because I bet even the actors were just like, wait, was this really in the script, or are you just messing with us right now? I also love how they introduce this other concept of this air toxin, where they're like, oh, maybe it's because we're in big groups, and, something doesn't like that, so that's why it's releasing it. I mean, like, you can't really blame the wind and then say it's because you're in groups. It's either the air or you're in big groups. You can't have both, okay? And what's funny is that if that was the case, they are in a pretty large group, about 15, and if it really was the plants, they're literally standing in the middle of a field where there's plants everywhere. So they should be dead. The movie should just end right there, but it does not, because they want to build up the fact that maybe it is the wind, or maybe it is the plants. I don't know. So after that, they decide to split up more, and eventually just Fisheyes, Elliot, and the girl, the daughter, and they end up staying at this old woman's house who kind of basically doesn't have any idea what's going on. She's very cut off from the world, but I swear to God, she's like the best part of this film. She is amazing. I think if you really want to appreciate her performance, watch the movie because she is so over the top. She is so crazy. It's awesome, and there's actually this one scene that I really love that I want to play for you guys. The audio, of course. It's pretty great. But why don't you just take a listen to it
I hear you whispering. Planning on stealing something.
No, ma'am, we're not.
Plan on murdering me in my sleep.
What? No.
now? This scene is actually one of my favorites due to the fact that the lady is clearly giving like a good performance. She's actually into her. She's playing the part of crazy. Like I feel like M. Night Shyamalan was like kind of standing back there with a gun and it's like, hey, you better like nail these lines. And she's doing a good job. And meanwhile, Mark Wahlberg is just kind of like, no, what? No. Like he is so monotone. He so does not care. I think at that point he actually had his paycheck and he was like, I don't care. And M. Night Shyamalan was like, I don't want to direct. So this is the scene, and it's such a good scene. It makes you laugh more than it makes you like scared, which is, I guess, was the point of this. I don't know. So after that Oscar-winning scene, the next morning the old lady ends up being cuckoo. She gets whammied by the thing, and she dies like the greatest way ever. She literally just like slams her head in her kitchen window. She's kind of there, and it's like wind is going through the house, but somehow they outrun the wind. And Fish Eyes and Elliot and the daughter. So the daughter's with Fish Eyes. They're in they're like, I think they're like adjacent to each other in like a cabin, but like one's in one room, another one's in the other room, and they talk through like a pipe. And honestly, it's like the smartest thing they've ever done. Like seriously, if it's the wind, just go into a room, close the windows, and just stay there, and don't have any plans near it. Like, but you know they're talking, and turns out they had marriage troubles. I honestly forgot because the movie does not go into it at all. Like they talk about it the first 5 minutes and the last 5 minutes, and in the middle it's just all this shit happening. So really, whatever. And they're like, oh, we should give each other a chance. So at one point, somehow they're like, you know what? Screw it. I don't care. We die. I want to die with you, even though we just like got together, and like we just agreed to a new life. And they take the daughter with them too. Like, what the hell? Your friend left his daughter with you to keep her safe, not take her out to the danger. So they go out. They're in the wind. They can't outrun it. And all of a sudden, like, literally nothing happens. They're just like, even the actors are confused, I think. I think they were, like, generally, like, very, like, visibly confused. They were, like, I think there were, like, 20 more minutes of movie going on. I thought I was had to fight the wind. I don't know. And all of a sudden, Mark is like, Elliot's like, yeah, it's over. Like, just like that. Because they were in the wind. Like, it's probably not attacking somewhere else. It's over because they didn't attack them. Because, you know, the whole world revolves around Fish Eyes and Elliot. But, you know, turns out it is over. And, like, they cut to 6 months later. Fish Eyes and Elliot are together. They adopted the daughter, so that's nice. And Fish Eyes is having a baby. Yay! All happy ending. But is it? Although America is safe now, I guess all the plants got together and was just kind of like, hey, yo, guys, we out to Europe? And that literally is what happens. The ending scene is in France, Paris, and everyone stops, a scream is heard, and the movie ends. Happening. And that is the movie Happening. Although considered a scary film, I think a lot of people would consider it a comedy, and for good reasons. The acting, like I said, is pretty weak, and there are just some scenes that are supposed to be scary, but end up being really, really good and funny. So if you do watch it as a comedy and not a scary movie, and I think you'll enjoy it. This was The Happening. This was my review. I am Rumman. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want, leave a like, subscribe, add me on MySpace, add me on Gmail, you know, add me I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm not really adding effects, just, you know, whatever. Follow me at Banana Republic, you know, tweet me, you know, DM me, you know, Facebook me, you know, Outlook me, you know, CUNY Portal me, go on CUNY first, you know, all that stuff, you know, if you want, if that's cool. And if you want, subscribe to me on YouTube. I'm Rumman Kareem, everybody, and this was Reviews with Rumman. Take care.